Welcome. This is your masterclass on a three-step journey to share your truth. I'm going to be going through a very simple process to help you to share what you want to share with the world. This could be just being able to express yourself more clearly and openly in your relationships, to feel more seen and heard by the people in your life. This could be for an entrepreneurial journey, for your creations to be getting more engagement, for your projects to be successful. Sharing our truth really does go into every area of life. So learning how to do it in one area affects other areas. It's always a beautiful journey to go on. The more of us that are sharing our truth, I really feel makes the world more interesting and opens us up to huge opportunities in life. So welcome. And my name is Keeva. I am the director of Elemental Empress Medicine, and that is a company that shares the wisdom of the elements, fire, air, earth, and water, as a means to connect with the physical body and to connect with the world around us. And why do that? Well, it really, when we understand the elements within the body and the elements within the world, we have an embodied understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. So that is what that company shares in lots of different ways. And sharing your truth really does become easier when you are grounded in the physical body, when you know yourself, you feel comfortable with your body, and you're able to interpret the signs and symbols around you, because a lot of insecurities around sharing our truth come from a feeling of the world not understanding us or us not being confident in ourselves. And the elements have a way of manifesting and cultivating confidence within us. So, why go on this journey? Spoke a little bit about that in the first slide there. Freeing my expression was the biggest gift I could ever have given myself. And this is so true. It has been a weird and wonderful journey in, in how I got myself to this point. And I'm sure if I told myself at the beginning of the journey, oh, what was going to happen, I probably wouldn't believe it. But coming through the journey on the other side, my goodness, being able to share. I used to have a blog. I didn't want anyone to read it. I was just like, nope. And I was sharing, but I was petrified. And it's so beautiful to be able to now share lots of content and to be able to express myself in different kinds of relationships, and to help someone a little bit more along that journey is such a gift, because it provides so many blessings in life. So let's start with why you are here. Take a moment to think about what brought you here today. And this is really important because when we recognize that something is important to us, we manifest more energy and focus to make big shifts in our lives. So really think about for a moment now why you are here. If you have a piece of paper and a pen, maybe you can write down 3 points or a sentence for why you're here right now. What is really bothering you? What is it that you want to express, if there's something on your mind that you know what it is and it's just about getting it out there, what is that thing? And if it's just completely like, I feel totally blocked, I don't know where to start, that's cool too. Just being like, I want step one, I want to step out of this blocked energy and I want to move into a state of flow with my expression, with sharing my truth with the world. That can be where you're at. So write down why you've come here today and keep that notebook handy as well, writing down any insights that come through for you while you're watching this presentation. I've thought of different points and I have these 3 steps to share with you, but of course you may get your own amazing personal insight as you move through this. So do keep your piece of paper and pen close by. So step 1, let's dive right in. We have observation. Preparing for step 1. So yeah, showing up here is just so huge for step 1. Sharing that you actually want things to change, that you want something to evolve within your life. This is observing yourself. You've observed that there is a block and you're now saying, okay, I want to shift that. And that's really, really huge. You've opened yourself up to solutions by asking this question, observing yourself. So keep that going. Listening to the body is a huge way to understand where our blocks are and how to move through them. So our body holds that wisdom for how we can move through these blocks. So we're going to take a moment now to tune into the physical body. and just feel into some of those blockages. So taking a deep breath in, closing your eyes for a second to shut off any stimulus from outside. So you can just take a breath, start to quiet your mind a little bit. Wherever you're sitting is perfect. Just tuning into your breathing. And I wanted you to take a moment to trace your breathing from your nose into your lungs, feeling what it's like to move the air through the nose, down the throat, and into the lungs. And arriving into the lungs, notice any areas that may feel a bit constricted, where it feels nicely expanded. And seeing if you can actively expand your breath a little bit more. Using the exhale to relax your body. And we'll take a moment here to just scan the journey, noticing the energy from the nose and the mouth, down through the throat, and into the lungs. And I'd like you to take note of how it feels in the lungs. Is it heavy? Is it light? Is there some emotions there? Just noticing. And now coming up to the throat and observing the throat. What is the energy like? Continuing your breath and focusing your awareness on your throat space. Noticing how it feels. And lastly, we'll come up into the mouth, observing the tongue, the teeth, noticing how the mouth feels. And take a deep breath in to clear the mind. Exhaling through the mouth to let something go. And opening the eyes when you feel ready, coming back into the space. So that is a nice simple example of the tuning in and the listening to the body. It can be very simple, and a block in and of itself can be that we need to have the perfect time, the perfect setup, everything has to be totally quiet, I have to lie in this way, So just knowing that you can be sitting exactly as you are and you can observe all these different parts of yourself. And so that's how we observe, and we just notice what is there, no judgment, just like, wow, that's interesting. So sticking with that's interesting rather than jumping to this is wrong or this is blocked or I don't like this, I don't like that. When we start to not like the things, we start to push them away. And when we're in that energy of like pushing it away, I don't want it, this is not nice for me, this is not fun for me, then we can't receive the messages. We can't move the energy. Our hands are tied. So we want to come into this curious, open, observatory space, observation space to receive those messages and to start to build this deeper connection so that we can actually instigate change within our expression. So notice how you feel when you listen to yourself. If you're not listening to yourself, it can be very stressful. It can be overwhelming. We can feel lost. We can feel alone when we're not listening to ourselves. And if you're finding yourself saying, no one's listening to me, um, this is a sign that you're actually not listening to yourself. So this is your internal guidance system saying to you, you're not listening to me when you find other people are not listening to you. So it's interesting. If you start to tune into your body more, you start to listen to your intuitive prompts, listen to your thoughts, observing what's going on with you, you will find that other people in your life become more interested in you and become more observant of you and intrigued in what's going on for you. And they'll want to listen as you are listening to yourself. And this is an interesting thing to note, that we can only listen to other people to the extent in which we listen to ourselves. So if you want to think about, 2 or 3 of your friends or family who is a really good listener, and think about their practices. So I have a friend and she listens so deeply to herself. Like, she's a writer, so she journals and she writes all the time, and she has this depth. Like, when I talk to her, it's like there's this massive big depth, and I could just continue talking and she can hold all of it. She can listen to all of it because she has listened to herself to that extent. So she has that space within her. And that's a beautiful thing to cultivate for ourselves from listening. And this all feeds into expressing ourselves from an authentic point of view, from a space that feels grounded. When we have first listened to ourselves, we are always just 3 breaths away from feeling entirely different. I love this notion, or this like awareness, that how you feel, if you're feeling resistance, you're feeling frustration with your expression, maybe you're trying to write something and it's not coming through, or a project isn't successful because people aren't engaging with it, things like that. Take 3 breaths. 3 breaths, tune in, relax yourself, and we'll go into the next 2 steps for how to move forward with that. But this in and of itself will change how you feel entirely and bring you back to that beautiful observing space and that presence with yourself. So we're being open to receive. This is the lovely way of observing ourselves, is that sometimes we can block ourselves off from the messages that our body wants to share with us. Like, our body is saying, this is how you express yourself. This is what feels good for you. But we're just like blocking it because we're like, oh, I don't know. I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to share that way. I don't know what to say. And we keep saying this until it becomes true for us. And so when we observe and we listen, it becomes really apparent naturally. It flows for us that we know everything we need to know. We can say the perfect thing at the perfect time. All of these things are within us. So be open to receive those messages and trust that they are the right messages for you, and that you know what is best for you. You know the way to express that feels good for you. You know your body and you know yourself. So trusting these simple things. Into step number 2, we have awareness. So observation and awareness, they may seem like quite similar words, but the difference between the two is, in observation, you're not doing anything. You're just noticing. You're just like, okay, this is what it is. This is how it is. Awareness, we're starting to move the energy. We're actually starting to make those shifts. And this is really where we start to take our power back. So you have more power over how things unfold in your life than you believe. So let's explore some simple ways to awaken your power. When we start to be able to move energies, we become like magicians. We become our own best healers. We become aware of our power when we start to be able to move energy. So if you were feeling some energy blockages in your lungs, your throat space, your mouth, the different areas that we move through, you can go back into those after this class and breathe into them and shift them by focusing your awareness from them. So 2 ways to shift an energy blockage in the body is to breathe into it, to hold your awareness on it, and to expand your breath. So breathing into the place that feels blocked. This is the first step. So this invites the energy to start circulating. The breath is the way that energy circulates around the body. It's like a big pump of energy that circulates everything. So breathing into it is the first step. If you're feeling a block in the throat, breathing into it, inviting it to expand, inviting it to like release the energy out, because a lot of the time we've compacted it all in together because we're trying to keep it together all the time. So breathe into it, let it all unfold. That's the first step that shifts energy. And then the second step that really starts to shift energy is to receive those messages. When you receive those messages, the energy starts to move. And we want to be aware of the messages that are coming through, aware of how the energy is moving, and aware that we are the person doing all of these things. So this really builds our confidence when we are aware that we have the power to instigate change in our physical body and in the world around us, in the way that we express ourselves. So taking it back to note where the blockage is, breathing into it, receiving the message from it, and holding your awareness through the whole process. A beautiful way to hold the awareness through the process is to document it. So to write it down. If you do a meditation, even if it is just a short one that we did there, to breathe into an energy blockage and to shift it, maybe to receive some insight from it, write that down afterwards. You can draw the part of your body that has the blockage. So maybe drawing the lungs or drawing the throat. You can look up some images online and then write the messages that you receive from that part of the body. Or simply you can just flow write a page or two of whatever comes to mind, and it will be connected to that energy that has just shifted. So this builds our awareness of ourselves, it builds our connection with ourselves, and this makes it more easy to share with other people and to express ourselves authentically, because when we know ourselves, we can speak from that place of confidence. So when you are aligned with your power, you are capable of shifting energies within. You have observed them. Now we create change. Yes, you can do that. Yes, you can, for sure. So awareness is the fire element. Observation is the water element. So observing, we're just noticing, we're increasing our sensitivity, we're observing what's going on. Awareness is the fire element. So we're starting to get things circulating, and the holding awareness throughout the body is fire, is moving heat. Like if we have enough attention on our hand for enough time, it will start to get warmer. The same with the heart space. If we hold awareness on our heart space for long enough, it will start to get warmer. The sensation of it will increase, and we'll start to be able to feel it more. So we want to tap into that fire to instigate some change so that we can express ourselves more clearly, so that we can share our truth. A little bit more about the water element. When we are working with awareness, a lot of things or insights can come up about our emotional body. So this is the symbol here, the triangle is the elemental symbol for water. And when we connect with our emotions, it's just this depth of a well. It's so beautiful how much information water holds within the body. So we want to connect with our emotions when we're sharing our truth, because when we're sharing our truth, if we're sharing it from a feeling space, that means it's really where our heart is. It's really what matters to us. It's really what we value. So coming out of the mind, the air element is more about logic, and that's really helpful, but sometimes that can be a big block to sharing our truth because we're worried about what other people are thinking. We're getting caught up in other people's worries and fears. So we want to bring the awareness further down into the body. In the sacral chakra is where the water element resides, and this is where a lot of our emotions sit, and it's where our gut feelings come from. So we want to be tuning into that when we are sharing our truth. And this speaks to the flow writing, which I mentioned with the awareness. So when we flow write, this really invites the emotional body to cleanse itself, as well as breathing. So breathing and flow writing, we're inviting all of this expression to come out of us. And I want to note here that it's important, if you are struggling with expression, you are struggling with sharing your truth with other people, start with yourself. So flow writing in private, writing in your journal, or making paintings that you just keep for yourself, and creating things that don't have an outcome. So sometimes if we're writing something for a blog, like if we constantly write for a reason, then the creativity gets stifled and we get a bit stuck. So starting to create without outcome or without a motive, or just like to see what comes out really. So writing to see what comes out, drawing to see what comes out. This is all tapping into the intuitive water element and trusting the feminine flow of energy. So we want to trust that and let it come out, and it's magical to see what comes through. And that again builds our confidence, it builds our intrigue in ourselves, it builds our love for ourselves. So water can really, really help you with your expression and with sharing your truth. Getting uncomfortable. So take some time after watching this video to create a form of expression. Like I was saying, keep it for yourself. If you feel nervous about it, I think in general, if you are trying to break through blockages, do keep this form of expression to yourself and then see what comes out. Just intuitively pick if you want to draw, paint, or write, and make it your own. Spend some time with it and set yourself up for greatness in the sense of be in a private space, light a candle for yourself, make the room nice for you, have the right tools. If you want to do painting, buy some nice paints, have the nice paper. So set yourself up to really have an enjoyable experience with this form of expression and allow yourself to just go for it, and create something. So that is the challenge that I'm going to put out to you there to do after this video. So of course, it's great to listen to what people have to say about different topics, to hear other people share their truth, to hear other people share guidance. But until we take those steps ourselves, we're not really going to shift the energy. We're not really going to see change in our lives. So this leads us nicely onto the third step, which is all about taking action. So the third step, we've gone through observing what's going on with us, where there might be a block, what's troubling us, what's feeling like it's in the way. Then we moved into awareness where we're like, okay, I'm ready to start shifting the energies within myself. I made some form of expression. I'm feeling connected with myself. Now we're into the third step where we're going to take some action in the physical world. We're going to do things differently. We're going to go and put ourselves out there. So, did you create something? This is the question with taking action. Like create, do it, get the forms of expression out. And when you take action, the universe celebrates. So it comes in and it supports you, it gives you those resources, it brings you the perfect people. So if we keep all of our expression nicely locked in a box inside of us, that energy can't go out into the universe to boomerang back at us with the resources and people and opportunities that we so deeply desire. So we need to get it out. And that doesn't mean you have to get it out in public all at once, but at least get it out in private and on pieces of paper. And I've watched this happen for myself, and it's just been mind-boggling. You know, I'd lay out a whole project on A3 pages, like really detailed. I'd just go for it and flow with whatever wanted to come out of me. And the next day or the next week, you know, I'd have someone in my inbox who's perfectly skilled at what I am trying to create and what I want to bring into the world, even if I haven't shared it with a single soul. It's just on paper. The energy of that is so, so powerful. So it will bring in what you need to take the next steps to share your truth with the world. So how is your body feeling? Let's just take a moment after sharing all of those things and shifting some energy. How is the body feeling? Discovering how we're feeling and checking in as we receive new information is really important. So explore the sensations within the physical body, emotions, and shifts from the first two steps. So when you go through this process over the next little while, sharing your truth, be sure to check in with yourself regularly and to see how the body is feeling. So sometimes the mind can just, the air element is super quick. It wants to just go into it all, and we can see it, we can envisage it with the fire element, and then the air element feels like we're going to be there in the next couple seconds. But the physical world sometimes takes that little bit longer. In the earth element, it moves slower. So we got to have some patience, and we have to also ground ourselves through the process to make it sustainable. So this is how checking in about how our body is feeling is really helpful, because this keeps us slowed down, it keeps us grounded, it keeps us patient as well throughout the journey, and makes it more enjoyable as well, because we're living an embodied experience. we're not living in that air element all the time where we're moving super quickly. So be sure to check in with yourself. Yeah, so our final step, taking action, encouraging ourselves, getting uncomfortable, and taking baby steps. So these are the guidelines for taking action. Be encouraging of yourself no matter how small the step is. Trust yourself, move forward, take those tiny steps each day, and you'll be so shocked as to how far you get. And if you're feeling uncomfortable, amazing. You're on the right track. It's going to feel uncomfortable. I know when I started doing videos, that was super uncomfortable. I actually couldn't speak when I turned on the video. I just sat in front of this awkward camera for quite some time, and that was a baby step, you know. And then I started making videos and I created a whole channel, and then I changed my form of expression. My truth was coming out in a different way, and I got rid of all those videos and I started again. So expression, it's going to come out in its own way, but trust where you're led with it and get yourself a little bit uncomfortable, you know, a couple days a week at least, just doing something, if it's public speaking or if it's maybe meeting with someone that makes you a bit uncomfortable, but you know you need to have a conversation with them, and just trusting that you are strong enough. Observe yourself, you have your internal awareness, you have your check-in with your body, so you can go out and get a little bit uncomfortable and still come back to yourself and feel safe and feel excited about your journey. Taking action looks different for everyone. So yeah, be careful of comparing yourself to other people on their journeys. So notice what feels good for you, what brings you joy. Fire is the passion in life, the joy that we feel, and air medicine is the voice coming through, the feeling in the heart space. Those are air medicine. So we want to marry those two together so that we are speaking from a feeling space. We are feeling passionate and excited about what we want to share. And this comes a lot from the observation and awareness of connecting in with ourselves, because we start to know ourselves more deeply and we start to understand what feels good for us. So know that your journey is not going to look like anyone else's. And that's what, like, the best thing about sharing our truth is that it's going to be different. And that's what's going to make it super interesting and what people are going to really enjoy about it. So allow it to be different. And it may be that you don't see any progress in the physical world for like a couple months, and then it all comes at once. And then for someone else, they might start and then they have a lot of success after 2 weeks, you know, and then they've super successful for a couple months, and then they have like, you know, a drop in success in whatever they're doing. So everyone is just going to have a totally different experience. It's never just like a, you know, someone to start something and they're super successful, and like, you know, it doesn't really matter how everyone else is going about it, and that comparison can really stop us in our tracks when it comes to sharing our truth. How will you feel after you take action? So if you're thinking about taking action after doing the observation and awareness and you're like, that sounds so daunting, like I don't want to post a video on this YouTube channel, or I don't want to do that public speaking, or I don't want to, you know, apply for that job, or whatever the case may be, just think about how you'll feel after you take action. So it may not even be results orientated, you may not get any results from it, but just literally think how you'll feel after you post it, or after you send in that application, or after you have that conversation with someone, or after you even share your truth with your family, you know, something really simple like that, or how you feel after you do a creative 3 hours of just creating whatever you want to create. Think about how you'll feel after, and this will keep you motivated to try new things when you focus on what feels good. So if it feels good afterwards, feels good during, you're on the right track, even if there is some nervousness in there and maybe a little bit resistance. Yeah, focus on the feeling. So you are the person you have been waiting for. This is good and bad news for some people. You know, some people are like, I'm waiting for that person to come along and to push me off the cliff that I'm standing on, because I want to fly, I want to express myself, but I just can't jump. And yeah, people can support you along the way. They can guide you, they can give you some insight. Like I'm sharing with you 3 simple steps here: observation, awareness, action. Very simple to keep you grounded, to keep you motivated on your path. But you're always going to be the one that needs to jump off. You're always going to be the one that is taking action, and you're always going to be the one that needs to know yourself and be grounded in what you're sharing. No one else can do that work for you. So this sometimes can save people a bit of time, just to have the awareness that there's no one else coming. You'll get there when you decide that you really want to, and that's what you really want to do. It's the same with healing in the body. It's like, when is the healing going to happen, or when is this going to change? When we decide that that's what we really want. So yeah, take action. You are all that you need. You know what you need to know. I hope that was helpful for you. Do get in touch if you want some personal guidance. This is my webpage here, elementalempressmedicine.com. And you can pop us an email at elementalempressmedicine@gmail.com for any personal questions. To join the social media groups, or to join the newsletter to hear what we have going on, or to support you more in your journey to expressing your truth. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, and I hope to see you again soon.